diminished feelings of well-being and increasing feelings of pain and self-sabotage and sadness. Okay, so I'm saying some of it has some definite clinical correlation with dropping levels of growth hormone. Simple chart to show you that with age, shit happens. Okay, and we're starting to think that quality of life is largely pegged to how good your growth hormone levels are. Here is a way not to exercise your cat. Put an apple and get them to try and reach it. Actually, this is an orange. Here's my way of explaining us trying to fight with age. You can't go up against a tank and expect to be okay. But growth hormone puts us in that direction, supposedly. I'm asking you to look at things with open eyes, look at things in a different way, and to see every new patient who walks in as a possible candidate for what you guys do. Okay? This is what we have to become now in a multi-specialty, multi-center clinic. You have to be prepared for certain things. You have to know how to answer certain questions. You have to be prepared for the what ifs, what not. And be prepared to do strange things in order to get away with certain things. Okay? Kita nyo ba? Pag di nakasya sa LRT, you have to find a way. Sometimes we don't feel like our age. Sometimes we go out with barkada and, damn, you look good. Okay? So I'm asking you to reconsider. Also, some people who are 70 who look 30. So we're actually starting to think quality of life and how well we took care of each other and how well we took care of ourselves. I'm here to go over some misconceptions perhaps. Narinig niyo na to? Yan. Pag may complaint, ito. Alam niyo yan? Pag may call kayo galing sa pasyente na irritable, irate client, etc. Ang PEBCAC is the call center and computer speak for problem is between chair and computer. Ano nasa gitna ng chair tsaka computer pagkausap niyo? Yung kliyente. Hindi niya mahanap yung problem. But you have to be there to pretend that the problem is not between the chair and the computer and to help them out. Shortcut through HGH is a master hormone responsible for all the good stuff, and loss of it is responsible for all the bad stuff, including a drop in general vigor and sex drive. Ironically, I'm coming it from the other side, so I'm telling you from my side, not the geriatric side per se, but HGH is produced during sleep delta and early phases of sleep. However, here's another way to sell the product, if you might look at it. Wala ba kayong for stress? Ay ma'am, meron kami. Yeah, because with great stress, you have an increase in cortisol and all the bad stuff, and you lose delta sleep. Therefore, you need growth hormone, which is another way of looking at it, which the pharmaceutical companies probably will agree with and FDA will kill me for. As we get older, decreasing quantities of HGH may result in, imagine niyo na boyfriend nito, loss of muscle tone, increased weight gain, loss of stamina, sagging skin and muscles, wrinkled skin. Doesn't sound too good. Okay? So I'm saying it's another way to look at how useful this would be. Okay? And another way to look at good sleep. And if you have not been getting good sleep, or if your clients haven't been getting good sleep, it's another thing to reconsider. It works both ways. It improves sleep, and then also what they don't get from sleep, it gives them. Okay? Incidentally, growth hormone surge is strongest at sleep, bedtime. So it's strange, it's a growth hormone, but the strongest surge is bedtime. Translation, the best way so that your children, when you have children, don't grow so well, number one, get them to sleep badly and play TSP in bed with all of the lights on. That's the perfect way for them to grow short. Oh, get them to start smoking, and they're pretty much guaranteed to grow short. Okay? Because growth hormone surge is strongest at bedtime, strongest in dim light, no lights as much as possible. Okay? So the best prescription, bedtime, get your shot of growth hormone, turn off the lights, have a glass of milk, or take your glutamic acid before bedtime, and that's it. And if they're taking supposed growth hormone supplements, they can take them bedtime if they're the amino acids, because nothing else that is labeled as growth hormone is actually growth hormone out in the market. This is again the same thing. Drop, about 15% per decade growth hormone. All right. Drop in age and years. Notice how bad things get after you're 20 very quickly. So it's very sad that our growth hormone happens to drop exactly when we're out of college and have no physical activity. Mm-hmm. So nagsabay pa sila. Bakit ba ganun? One of the biggest things is growth hormone among the other hormones that happen to be present. It's a large molecule. It's just my way of saying that if there's a new product out, and there are often very large numbers of products out that claim to be growth hormone that happen to be in tablet or pill form, chances are it's BS. Not true. Okay? It's bull. Because this breaks down. Okay? It's a very busy slide, but basically you're saying it does all of the good stuff for building up bone and muscle, repairing liver, which brings back more of the good stuff, and then it also brings down adipose. Okay. So another way to look at that is you do have some local adipolytic effect or breakdown of fat. So ideal way to have, wala pa tayong model. Usually kapag sinabi ko, biglang tahimik yung room. Alam niyo yung area sa flanks na parang may tube ka, paharap, pa ganun, papunta sa harap. That's also the best target area if you'd like to, if your patients ask, saan ba magandang itusok to? Dun sa area na mahirap, hindi lang sa harap, sir. Sir, ikot kayo. Okay lang? Ito ba yung you're doing that kind of thing. Hindi lang dito. Although dito, yeah, it's a great place to have it. Okay, but ang pinakamahirap na buti ng treatment, ito eh. Diba? Meron siyang, it is sensitive. It is sensitive. But, have you tried ice? If you ice the area, before they have the injection, you have the effect of ice, which also injures fat cells, if you keep them long enough there. Okay. There's actually a study where babies binigyan mo ng icicle, nagsishrink yung buccal fat pad. May some country na sakay ng sakay sa horses, ay malamig yung saddle. Pumapayat yung dito nila. Push sa ice. So, we don't need that. No, we don't need that. So I'm asking you to reconsider for the men who aren't so sensitive. Some of them are really sick. Who can take it like a man. So, start with this area because it's extremely hard to get to. Okay. So they can go in a band that stretches, if you don't mind. That stretches from here, going here, which is the area really hardest to hit with your treatment. Whatever your treatments are. Kahit sa metang therapy, it is painful. I make no joke about it, even with the best needles. Okay. But I'm asking you to reconsider if there's a way. Tapos patients grading lang eh. Kasi some patients can take it. Some patients can't. It is those who can, sayang yung opportunity. Okay? So ask them to reconsider. Why not alternate a band and stop the areas you like to work on those. I'm asking you to reconsider. It's just patient grading. And if you could sit down with your consultants and then they agree, you could start a protocol whereby, like patients in our other clinics, they're graded for pain. And if they tolerate pain really well, if you give them a needle, kasi the demo mo naman first time. And if they're okay with it, tapos na ba? Great! Sir, dito nyo ita-target to. Sir, lahat ng areas na gusto nyo target and good. Okay na make sense? Ating flabby area dito sa ilalim ng Diletros, pakilan nyo forward. So if they're okay with it, let it turn. Okay? So I'm asking you to reconsider. Okay? Although yung ginagawa niyong standard really does help kasi when this area collapses, pati naman yung flanks magko-collapse forward eh. Okay? But the effect isn't as strong as if you start with the flanks, which are really statistically hardest to hit. Okay? Target organs, we've already gone through this. Builds up instead of breaks down. Very simple. Only breaks down really stuff you don't like. Fat. Okay? Effect is strongest that way if you give it bedtime. Okay? You could give it twice a day, you could give it once a day. Some endocrinologists think that if you give it in the evening, you may suppress the natural surge in growth hormone. Okay? There's a natural surge there, tapos isasabay mo lang yung growth hormone, di ba? Ang isip nila, negative feedback loop. Pag dumami yung growth hormone, masasuppress mo yung natural na growth hormone rise. Okay. Our thinking, well, mine and a few other people's, is that think about their level of activity. So some doctors kasi like to give it twice a day, give it at bedtime, and give it in the morning as well. If you give it in the morning, they say you don't suppress the natural feed-forward mechanism. You don't give it a negative feedback loop so that the natural growth hormone surge is there, plus you just add. That kind of makes sense. So twice a day. Go on.
So the normal dose would be divided into
So what other doctors like to do, what other endos like to do is when the patient, during the time the patient is graded as needing more, and you check insulin growth factor 1, kapag kailangan nila na mas marami, i-load mo. Or kapag bago, naive or new yung patient, lo-load mo muna ng 2 weeks, twice a day mo. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Now, here's my caveat though. I'd like for you to rethink the kind of patient. Kasi, sabihin na natin, baka masuppress mo yung growth hormone surge sa gabi. Okay? What kind of patient would be more resistant to suppression? The patient who does weights or the patient who does cardio? What would you think? What would you think? What would you think? Okay, here's the background. If you give it at bedtime, chances are you have more fat breakdown, lipolysis. If you give it in the morning, chances are you have more buildup instead of breakdown. So if it's a fat patient and you want to shrink the patient, you give bedtime. You go with the strongest surge, it tends to be more lipolytic at bedtime. Now, if it's a patient trying to bulk up, give it in the morning. Does that kind of make sense? Okay. So, the other way to look at it also is if the patient is one who's cardio crazy and then looking to weight loss, bedtime, morning. Yeah. Also, since all their hormones are going in the forward, now if they're going for bodybuilding, you do the reverse, which is you give an AM or a BID dose, and you can be heavier in the morning. Okay, this is a new way of thinking about it because there used to be a controversy with regard to that. Okay, so that's another way to look at it. I'll also show you a way of dosing that. Siyempre, natutuwa yung pharma, uy, pwede nating i-doble. Okay, and I'm sorry? Go on. Not necessarily. There are times kasi, I'm saying there's a standard dose, right? Computed per milligram, kilogram per body weight. Okay. Pero, pwede ka mag-loading. Instead na yung standard dose lang, pag nag-drop yung IGF-1 mo below 100, o mag-load ka. So, kung ang dose mo is 0.1 lang na evening, pwede ka mag-load na 0.2 evening, 0.1 morning. Na 200% ka, plus 1. Tapos maglo-load ka. Yung, kapag nag-200 na, I'll show you a slide with regard that. Actually, you could go into that now if you'd like. By the way, thanks for the questions. We like the questions. So, yung mga talagang kailangan nyo, yung addressin lang natin. Any concern? Yeah, if there are patients and they're trying to build, although it's not a use, It's not a use we recommend, and the doses usually which are abused approach doses for children. Kung makita niyo yung dose, it's like 20 times the usual dose. Ang lakas magkonsumo ng pedya ng growth hormone. It's, it's ridiculous compared to the adult doses. Good stuff. I'll go over this again later if need be. Nice to know yung naka-yellow. Mas concern nyo yung dosing ba? Okay. Here's what I said. Okay. Ang pinangkakategorize natin, insulin-like growth factor 1, di ba? Do you do this? Great, great. Saan pinapadala sa inyo?
Of their choice.
Of their choice. Okay, I tried the of their choice. Kahit ginawa ko sa medical city yung evaluation, pinadala pa nila sa St. Luke's. So apparently sa St. Luke's bumabagsak. Right. So Mediserve na lang. Okay, so there's the recommendation, Mediserve na lang. Kasi alam ko ang gandahan lang sa St. Luke's, if you need the results very fast, if your patient is Caucasian or whatever, pumasok lang sila, madalas taga-Guam, di ba? Bigla na lang papasok dito. Okay, tapos kailangan mo kagad yung results. St. Luke's, papax lang nila or email sa'yo eh. Kuha na sa Mediserve? Really? Beautiful. That works then. Sige. I'm switching places. Thank you. Yan. Kasi dapat nag-uusap tayo mamoy. Okay. This is what I said a while ago. You get a more physiologic and more lipolytic effect. Okay? Supposedly, if you give it in the morning, you don't suppress the nighttime secretion. Here's the thing. Kung yung pasyente mo naman, stressed, harassed, walang tulog, how much growth hormone are they producing? Less or more? Less. Does that make sense? Bigay mo na lang sa gabi. Bigay mo na lang sa gabi. Does that make sense? If it's a patient who actually sleeps well and body builds like crazy, para puro muscles hanggang face, bigay mo ng morning. Does that make sense? Okay. So these are just recommendations and kindly take time to explain them to your doctors. Okay? Here's some of the stuff we used to do in the 1990s that we no longer do. So hindi na natin kailangan aralin. Here's what you're doing. Similar. Ano niyo ginagawa? Pucha, narinig ko yun eh. Tapos may calculator. Okay. 0.006 milligram kilogram dose. 0.006. Okay. Milligram per kilogram dose. So, times, sabihin na natin 75 kilogram man. Diyan ka lang. Where's 75? Wait, where's the here? Sorry? 75 kilogram man. Okay. Guys, yung sa computation, pag titingnan nyo yung box ng cytropin, may box kayo ng cytropin, sir? Ay. Hindi, sir, yung... okay na. Guys, it says, it doesn't say here, but it's 5 milligram per 1.5 ml is 15 international units. So, translation, 1:3 yung milligram. So, ang 3 international units is 1 milligram. Does that make sense? So, magbaback compute pa kayo. 3 international units is 1 milligram. 5 milligrams is 15 international units. Oh, great.
Yun nga eh, sabi ko nga eh.
Yan. O, hindi ka na kailangan dahan-dahanan.
Kung unit, kung ml or
Very nice. I like you even more. Bakit pa sa ulo yun doon? Hindi, pero that's basically. Okay? It would be nice. It would be nice for just for resell and to keep the product moving or to keep your para hindi kayo nabobore out of your heads. May Facebook ba kayo at Wi-Fi pag may blank time? Okay. Sige. Anyway. Sige. Well, just in case you wanna keep things moving, meron mga lean months at hindi happy yung mga boss, we're just adjusting for a few things. And it's nice to know if you're trying to sell the patient the product to a patient who thinks they don't need it, there are several ways to go around it. Oh, I don't need that. I actually sleep well. Great. What's your cholesterol like? Yung cholesterol ko lang tumaas eh. Ma'am, nakakababa to ng LDL. Okay. My sex drive's terrible. My doctor says I need testosterone. Did you know that testosterone works great with growth hormone? Or that you might need one or the other? My metabolism's really slowing down. Great. Did you know that the growth hormone's a master hormone? Okay? So you're looking at all of that. Yung QOL dito is quality of life. Right? I have a heart condition. I have a heartbeat irregularity. I have cardiomyopathy. Nakitaan ako ng malaki daw yung heart ko sa ultrasound or sa plain X-ray plate. Ma'am, great. Did you know that cardiomyopathy was an indication? Okay? Did you know that we could possibly bring down your levels of C-reactive protein? Did you know that we could possibly bring down levels of generalized inflammation? Some studies say. Okay? So it's something to reconsider in how you're looking at this. Ito yung pinag-usapan natin kanina. Okay? Start kayo ng dose. Nasaan ba yung pera? So, ano nga ba yan? Nakita niyo na ba ito? No, I'll pass it around, okay? It's graded. Dadaanan nyo how to use it naman, di ba? Okay, but the smallest gradation here is 0.1. Okay, now, by example, naka 0.1 ang computed dose ng patient. Okay? Example. Tapos, yung IGF niya, 99. Okay? What I'm saying here is, you could try, and this is derived largely from a protocol Dr. Poblet is using, but it's really similar to mine, so I just don't mind at all. You could double the starting dose for 2 weeks. In other words, dose 0.2 in the evening if it's a patient who actually will sleep well and who needs the lipolytic effect. If it's a patient who actually is trying to bulk up muscle or who doesn't sleep well and has a lousy friggin' lifestyle, dose twice a day. So you accidentally do not suppress the nighttime growth hormone surge. That makes sense? Okay? Ngayon, below 200, 1.5 of the starting dose. Example, you could give it as 0.2 clicks or 0.15. Okay? Kasi yung gradation nila, 0.05 yung gradation. So, you could give, instead of 1 click, 2 clicks, okay, which will come out to 1.5 dose, or you could give 0.1 evening, 0.05 morning. Does that make sense? Below 300, kung ano lang yung starting dose. Above 300, ano na? Wala ba sense?
no.
Okay, go. Come on.
No, we were just looking at.
Yeah. No subcutaneous injection. I'll give you an example. I have a 48-year-old male. Okay, when you're ready.
I am.
It's alright. Ano? Guys, 48-year-old male started on 0.1 at night. Ang insulin growth factor niya dated 525, dated 5/04/2010, 288 nanograms per ml. Ano recommendation? Mhm.
Is yung pinaka-starting dose niya.
Translation, you maintain at that dose. You're good.